How you doing? Welcome to Lovelations, where we are navigating love. I am BJ O'Neal Jr.
And I'm Philip Pullum.
And today we're talking about love does not boast. Or more specifically speaking, are you really all that?
Love does not boast.
Yes, sir.
What does that mean exactly?
Alright, so boasting is to speak with exaggeration or with excessive pride, especially about oneself.
Okay. I think I'm following a little bit. Can you break it down a little bit more?
Alright, so basically you're overvaluing or overcompensating. So I may say, man, I was at the gym working out. I swear I was benching 500 pounds. So that would be me exaggerating my strength because I didn't bench 500 pounds.
Gotcha.
So it's making over allowance for something you do or who you are, basically.
Okay. Kind of like, the thing kind of comes to mind for me is if I was telling a story to one of my friends about something me and my wife did together, and the whole story is about what I did and not about what we did together.
Exactly. It's like, is this story about you? Or is it about y'all get together?
I took it to the finest restaurant, and we went here, and I did this, and
exactly.
I did that, and it really becomes more about what I did in the act,
right?
Instead of actually the person that I did the act for.
Exactly. So when you think about love, you say love does not boast. Yeah, we talk about love, and there's a lot of references to how great it actually is. It says love conquers all things. It says the greatest of all these things are love. It says God is love. So all these things say, man, love must be a very significant thing. Yet the Bible says it does not boast. It doesn't exaggerate its value. Matter of fact, love is designed in itself to serve the person being loved. So no matter how great the act is, the person receiving it is always greater.
The person who receives it is always greater. That's really good. So it places that emphasis and that value on that person and not on the thing that we're doing.
Exactly. And so granted, some of us out there may be thinking, well, I don't have an issue with boasting. And sometimes it doesn't come out, I'm intending to build myself up. A lot of times we end up boasting in frustration. So for instance, I may not be getting the quality time I desire in my relationship.
Right.
And so I may have communicated it, I may have reached out, and we're drawing a blank in this season. And instead of just focusing on the fact that, this is an area I'm praying and I'm hoping that it's improving, I'm communicating, and I'm really trying to depend on my wife to see me eye to eye in this area. That's all natural, that's perfectly fine. But now when I start backing up and saying, I shouldn't even have to do this. I work, I take care of her, I do this for her, and now I'm trying to build myself up greater to more demand that quality time. But now I'm putting my demand forward and yearning over it than the actual desire to connect that should have initiated that desire to begin with.
Right. It's almost as if you're saying through your boasting, I deserve it.
Right.
And instead of desiring the gift,
right,
but still serving the other person just because that is the right thing to do. Not even just the right thing to do, because I genuinely say I care for this person. That is the heart behind what I do the act for.
And what happens if we allow ourselves to get to that point, we now actually start disconnecting, though we don't really desire to. And it's actually, as it says, excessive pride. It is actually definitely a doorway to actually living and walking in pride. I can tell you, especially on social media, none of us want to get walked on, mistreated in our relationships, and none of us should. But I see a lot of self-justification. I wouldn't take that, don't put up, I let her know it's going to be this way. And again, it's that boasting of ourselves to actually demand something in your relationship instead of realizing that the healthiest way to get whatever that need or desire is to do it through an intimate transaction and not a demand. And because if it becomes a demand, you have a slave in your house other than actual helpmate and someone that you are mutually loving.
Wow, that's deep. Something else I thought about too was it boasting also allows you almost to be some type of scorekeeper, if you will. It allows you to build yourself up,
right,
over the person that you're in relationship with, because I've reduced our relationship to a series of acts.
Right.
You know, I've looked beyond just the desire to connect with you to literally putting myself in a place where our relationship becomes, or my value to the relationship is the fact that I feel that I do more,
Right.
or the things that I am doing are of higher importance than they really are.
Man, I'm glad you mentioned that scorekeeper concept, because that's actually right. And you're going to play one of two roles. You're going to have more points or less points. And you really don't want, even if, let's say, in this season, I feel entitled to say I have more points. In some transition of time, if my wife, so to speak, starts doing more and going all out as the woman and serve, I don't want her to demand anything from me.
Right.
Even if she's going all out, I'm going to push back in my pride at this moment, because I've boasted myself up. Now I'm fighting our level of entitlement.
Right.
And so we're no longer even actually walking in intimacy, but in competition, and now also demanding what we want for ourselves and not what we want for each other.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
So boasting, it actually even says that it's a spark. It sets the forest on fire. And that, as I went down that rabbit hole just there, you see how quickly some little wrong mindset about oneself or entitlement really destroys the whole fabric of the relationship before you even recognize it.
Quite as it's kept, there's something else that when I think about my own relationship, the moment that I went to go and boast, a lot of times I would forget all the things my wife had done.
Definitely.
Because my focus becomes the things that I have done, and so then I literally almost forget or discount,
Right.
even unknowingly sometimes, the things that she has done. And I say, you know what, I did this, and she said, well, I did this.
Right.
And so then it becomes, like you said, this chest beating thing, and I literally had to step back and say, wait a minute, what are we doing? You
Right,
know,
right.
at the end, I did that because I wanted to do that for you.
Right.
And now all of a sudden it almost it makes you, sometimes you can get into a defensive mode. Boasting can also be a defense mechanism, right?
Right.
Wait a minute, I did this for them, and I did that for them, and you can become there. It becomes that, like you said, that competition. See it all the time with parents with kids, right?
Right.
You know, I did the baby diaper last time. I did this. I changed the diaper last time. I didn't change the diapers all day. What have you done?
Right.
You know, and it becomes that thing about, okay, well, I've been doing more than you, and this, that, and there's a scorekeeping process, and nobody is happy in that moment.
Nobody's happy, and the real reward is not received. You know, we talk about the story in the Bible. It says, you know, those who do their deeds out in the open, like the people who had a lot of money and they were jingling their coins all the way to give the offering. Jesus wasn't even impressed. And then you had the lady that walked up who didn't have much, but gave quietly, but out of the abundance of her heart. And Jesus said she gave more than anybody else.
She gave the greater sacrifice.
She gave the greater sacrifice. It was more value in heart in what she gave. And a lot of times when we're giving to make ourselves look good or feel good, that's the reward. That is the limitation of the reward. And if it's not to serve or communicate an act of love, there isn't genuine connection. It's not, you know, that's what you're going to reap. Self-entitlement, self-appreciation, but you're not going to reap your mate knowing you genuinely value them and you desire to serve them because you've served yourself in the act towards them. You know, that's your reward. You won't be celebrated for that.
That's awesome. Something just came to my head when we were just talking there. I should never, I should never have to boast out of my mouth, if you will.
Right.
The act should do it for me.
Right.
At the end of the day, the act in and of itself,
Right.
and what you just said with the woman with the issue, with who gave the mic.
Right.
You know, her act in and of itself, what she gave. You know,
Right.
she gave more, and Jesus
Right.
put her on blast, if you will.
Right.
He boasted on her behalf. He
Right.
said that she did more.
Right.
You know, because of what she did.
Exactly.
And she never had to say a word.
Never.
And I think that's definitely an approach that I'm getting out of this conversation. Is love in and of itself, the act. There's no words necessary, if you will.
Right.
The act in and of itself is the boast. It's that declaration that I love you and I care for you. I'm willing to serve you and fade to the background because it's not necessary. I'm not doing it for attention, but I'm doing it for you because I value you.
Definitely. So we're going to continue our conversation on boasting on our next episode. You definitely don't want to miss it. Remember, all of these topics and conversation is being fueled through the book, What is Love, that you can find on Amazon. What is Love? Awakening the Truth for Healthy Relationships. You can find it on Amazon.com. Make sure that if you're liking these videos and podcasts that you continue to actually like, subscribe, and share. Definitely we're trying to promote a healthier perspective on relationship, healthier hearts, and at the end of the day, just healthier experiences, trying to change the narrative that we see perpetuated in social media and in our daily conversations. We shouldn't fear going after the things we genuinely desire, and if that is love and intimacy and relationship, we should grow stronger and not cower away and live this defensive, selfish life just so we don't feel like we're going to lose in the end. Because if we're growing, if we're maturing, and if we're working together, we can't help but win. So again, this is Lovelations. We're navigating love. Continue to join myself and Philip. We're glad that you guys are joining us on this journey. So let's keep traveling and do our thing. All right. So catch you next episode.